Hey, it's your girl T Channelle. Tonight's show is about the history of the word bitch. As usual, this show is for educational and entertainment purposes, so sit down, learn something, and have fun while doing it. Bitch, what do you think when you hear the word? What are some of your thoughts about the word? At the conclusion, I will open up the panel to the public, so if you want to join, you can on the above subject, the history of the word bitch. And please share your thoughts about tonight's episode. I further want to point out that my show is geared towards the adult population unless otherwise stated. Thank you. According to Wikipedia, bitch literally means a female dog. It's a slang it's a slang pejorative for a person, community, a person who is belligerent, unreasonable, malicious, a control freak, rudely intrusive or aggressive. When applied to a man, bitch is a derogatory term for a subordinate. Original use as a vulgarism documented to the 14th century suggests high sexual desire in a woman comparable to a dog in heat. The range of meanings has expanded in modern usage. In a feminist context, it can indicate a strong or assertive woman. The history. The term bitch comes from the 1150 word bitch, B-I-C-C-H-E, which was developed from the Old English word BC, or I don't not 100% sure how to pronounce it, but it's spelled Bicce. It also may have been derived from the Old Norse word big for female dog. The Oxford English Dictionary dates the term meaning female dog to around 1000 AD. It is believed that the definition of a female dog for the term bitch derived from the Greek goddess Artemis, as she is the quote-unquote goddess of the hunt. She was often portrayed with a pack of hunting dogs and sometimes transformed into an animal herself. She is free, vigorous, cold, impetuous, the most widely venerated of the ancient Greek deities. The Roman equivalent is Diana, Artemis of the wild land, mistress of animals. According to the myth, as a virgin, Artemis had interested many gods and men, but only her hunting companion Orion won her heart. Orion was accidentally killed either by Artemis or by Gaia. Bitch became a naughty word in Christian Europe because it was one of the most sacred titles of the goddess Artemis Diana, leader of the Scythian Alumni hunting dogs. The bitch goddess of antiquity was known in all Indo-European cultures, beginning with the great bitch Sarama, who led the Vedic dog to death. The Old English word for a hunting dog, bawd, spelled B-A-W-D, also became a naughty word because it applied to the divine huntress's promiscuous priestess as well as her dogs. Harlots and bitches were identified in the ancient Roman cult of the goddess Lupa, the wolf bitch, whose priestesses the Lupa gave their name to prostitutes in general. Earthly representatives of the wolf bitch ruled the Roman town of Ira Flavia in Spain as a queen or series of queens named Lupa. In Christian terms, son of a bitch was considered insulting, not because it meant a dog, but because it meant a devil, that is, a spiritual son of the pagan goddess. The story goes that Lupa is the wolf mother who adopted and nursed two baby boys, Romulus, the founder of Rome, and Remus. There was a festival each year on February 15th called Lupercalia in Rome to avert evil spirits and purify the city, releasing health and fertility. Lupercalia subsumed Februaria, an earlier origin spring clean ritual held on the same date, which gives the month of February its name. was a very ancient, possibly pre-Roman pastoral annual festival observed in the city of Rome each year on February 15th to avert evil spirits and purify the city, releasing health and fertility. The festival was the festival was named, excuse me, the festival was known as Februa, Latin for the purifications or purgings after Februum, which was used on the day. It was also known as Februatus and gave its name to Juno Februalis. Februalis, or Februrata, in her role as its patron deity, to Lupercus Februus, who presided over the holiday, and to February, mentions Februarius, the month during which it occurred. Ovid mentions February, deriving from an Etruscan word for purging. Some sources connect the Latin word for fever, febris, with the same idea of purification or purging due to the sweating common seen in association with fevers. Sorry. The name Lupercalia was believed in antiquity to evince some connection with the ancient Greek festival of the Arcadian Lycia, a wolf festival, and the worship of Lycian Pan, assumed to be a Greek equivalent to Faunus, spelled Faunus, as instituted by Evander. Justin describes a cult image of the Lycian god, whom the Greeks called Pan and the Romans Lupercus, as nude, save for goatskin girdle, and stood in the Lupercal, the cave, where tradition held that Romulus and Remus were suckled by the she-wolf Lupa. The cave lay at the foot of the Palatine Hill, on which Romulus was thought to have founded Rome. Lupercalia, an ancient Roman festival that was conducted annually on February 15th under the superintendence of a corporation of priests called the Luperci. The origins of the festival are obscure, although the likely derivation, I cannot pronounce that word, of its name from lupus, Latin wolf, meaning, lupus means in Latin, it means wolf, was variously suggested connection with an ancient deity who protected herds from wolves, and with the legendary she-wolf who nursed Romulus and Remus. As a fertility rite, the festival is also associated with the god Faunus, Faunus. Each Lupercalia began with a sacrifice by the Luperci of goats and a dog, after which two of the Luperci were led to the altar, touched with a bloody knife, and the blood was wiped off with wool dipped in milk. The ritual required that the two young men laugh. The sacrificial feast followed, after which the Luperci cut thongs from the skin of the sacrificial animals and ran in two bands around the Palatine Hill, striking with the thongs at any woman who came near them. A blow from the thong was supposed to render a woman fertile. In 494 CE, the Christian Church under Pope Gelasius appropriated the form of the rite as a feast of the purification. Who decides what words are bad words? They are considered bad words because they shock people. And they shock people because the subject is considered one not to be talked about, or at least not to be joked about. As such, what words are considered bad depends on the society. In English, most shock words have to do with bodily functions or with sexuality. I believe this is the case in most European languages, including European French. But in Canadian French, most shock words have to do with religion. Here they were originally used as shock words because they were literally profane, characterized by irreverent, dude, I cannot pronounce that word. Irreverence, yeah, spelled Irreverence. I cannot pronounce that word. I know what it means, but cannot pronounce it. or contempt for God or sacred principles or things. A similar situation is in Bavaria and southern Germany, which was traditionally also strongly Catholic. In both of these places, talking about a crucifix or a sacrament outside of a religious context would tend to offend people's sensibilities a lot more, and so those words became shock words. And some other cultures decided that some other subjects were taboo and or holy, then words related to those subjects would likely be on the four-letter word list instead of sex, defecation, or religion. Bitch is one of the most complicated insults in the English language. A bitch typically means a lewd, malicious, irritating woman, the comparison being to a dog and heat, but some women self-identify as bitches to indicate they are strong, assertive, and independent. A son of a bitch is generally a despicable or otherwise hateful man, but can also mean a dear friend who has done something impressive or clever. If something is bitchin', it is deemed to be particularly cool or in style. But if a person is bitching, they are complaining or whining. To be someone's bitch is to be his or her servant or slave. To sit in a bitch seat is to sit behind someone on a motorcycle. To bitch slap is to strike with an open palm. Bitch might have originally meant a female dog, but now it can indicate anything from slapstick humor to scathing insult. The rise of bitch through history can be traced to four distinct periods: the definition, the rise, the reclamation, and the popularization. The last three can be tied to specific events in American feminism. English language historian Geoffrey Hughes suggests the connection came about because of the Greek goddess of the hunt, Artemis Diana in the Roman pantheon, who was also often portrayed as with a pack of hunting dogs and sometimes transformed into an animal herself. In ancient Greece and Rome, the comparison was a sexual slur equating women to dogs and heat, sexually depraved beasts who grovel and beg for men. The modern word bitch comes from the Old English BC, B-I-C-C-E, which probably developed from the Norse B-I-K-K-J-E, which I had mentioned earlier, all meaning female dog. Its use as an insult was propagated into Old English by the Christian rulers of the Dark Age who suppressed the idea of femininity as sacred. The insult, son of a bitch, BC son in Old English, originated in ridicule spiritual pagans who worshipped the bitch goddess Diana. The phrase evolved into mean, a generally despicable or otherwise hateful man. Shakespeare, the master of verbal barbs, used the insult twice in his plays. Once in Troilus and Cressida in 1602, and the opening act 2 as Ajax comes upon Eurystheus. The first serious rise in the usage of bitch begins at 1920. Exactly the same year as another feminist milestone in the United States, the suffrage movement. The 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified on August 18, 1920. After decades of struggle, women finally received the right to vote. But as women became more public, so too did their critics. Now that women were appearing more and more on the American stage, the insult bitch began to slip slowly into popular discourse. Of the dogs are veterinarian medicine, law books explaining cases involving dogs, and the occasional court case in which the transcript includes some men calling another a son of a bitch. Within the books published in 1925, nearly 10 years later, but on the other side of the 19th Amendment, there is fiction, magazine articles, and even some quotes from news sources that use bitch to assault a woman. Through the years, this trend continues. In fact, by 1930, references to the word as an insult to a woman outnumbered the references to a female dog. The popularization in modern the theory, excuse me, trying to see, make sure I didn't lose my train of thoughts. The theory The theory of the political, economical, and social equality of the sexes. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally skipped a sentence. I wrote this down. The popularization in modern day. How bitch and feminism are tied. The definition of feminism is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes, organized actively on behalf of women's rights and interests. So now I'm gonna this part of my little segment that I got here. I'm going to play some music to give you an idea of how it went from really being some, just bad to now being people being happy to be called bitches. So I'm gonna read from Vice, The Evolution of the Bitch. It used to be the ultimate insult, but today the word bitch is said freely on TV shows and sung in songs on the radio. In a world of bad bitches and basic bitches alike, what the hell does bitch mean anymore? It's the original insult. It needs no introduction, no following. It works as a standalone slur for just about any scenario, whether someone jostles you on the subway, beats you at poker, or breaks your heart. All you need is one word. Or at least that's how it used to be. Calling someone a bitch used to be pretty straightforward. But today, after many adaptations, reinventions, and attempts to reclaim the word, it's not totally clear what bitch really means anymore. There are bad bitches and basic bitches, rich bitches and ratchet bitches, even perfect bitches, as Kanye West once famously described Kim Kardashian. Bitch, slap somebody with a resting bitch face, or just tag the word into the end of a sentence as in, I'm in Miami, bitch. When the word bitching is used as a verb, it means to complain. But when used as an adjective, it means to be cool. To be someone's bitch can either mean to be owned by that person or to be his or her best friend forever, unless you're someone's prison bitch, which also means the former. The word has been so splintered that it's unclear where bitch stands today, and how, if at all, we should use it. Can feminists call themselves bitches? Can men call other women bitches? Do you think I'm a bitch? We trace the evolution of the word and the woman who took on its meaning to try to figure out where bitch stands today. The Genesis. Lady dogs. Everyone knows that once upon a time a bitch was simply a lady dog. Trace its lineage in the Oxford English Dictionary, however, and you'll find that it's been used as a derogatory term for women as early as the 15th century. Back then, it was considered demoralizing mostly because it suggested that the woman in question was promiscuous, an allusion to the fact that female dogs have so many puppies. According to English language historian Jeffrey Hughes, this is, of course, why son of a bitch had such a sting. It meant your mother was a whore. That said, bitch was far from the most popular insult in ye old English. Dudes like Chaucer preferred the use of words like whore or sluttish. Bitch didn't really catch on as the universal female insult until the 1920s, when all of a sudden its use ballooned. Between 1915 and 1930, the use of bitch in newspapers and literature more than doubled. What happened? Women's suffrage. That's right, that Susan B. Anthony bitch got the right to vote. And when men were not happy about that, soon after bitch became an all-purpose insult for annoying women. Ernest Hemingway seemed to fall in love with the word, calling many of his female characters bitch goddesses. And after a falling out with Gertrude Stein, gifting her a signed copy of Death in the Afternoon with the inscription, a bitch is a bitch is a bitch. He had a way with words, that Hemingway. The slur had another surge of popularity in the 1970s, particularly in music. Miles Davis named his 1970 jazz album Bitches Brew. The title purportedly referred to the talent of the artist on the album. The Rolling Stones recorded Bitch in 1971. Elton John came out with The Bitch Is Back in 1974. Then, at the crowning of second wave feminism, Joe Freeman wrote The Bitch Manifesto, which declared we must be strong, we must be militant, we must be dangerous, we must realize that bitch is beautiful and that we have nothing to lose. Bitch, it seemed, was turning its face towards feminism. Now I'm going to play a song, Trina. called The Baddest Bitch. I'm gonna let the whole song play. It has lots of bad words in it, and for some it might be offensive. Listen at your own will.
No time for the little trick. You see the bigger the trick, the bigger the bank, the bigger the biz, the better your chance. You get close to his rich friends. I'm going after the G-string, make it quick, man. Romance by the nightstand, like lightning. I wanna make bank accounts in the Philippines. Black men take care of things. See how I touch him in the living room. Hard to you. Just ask me, it ain't nothing for the right now. She won't. I'm the bad shit. I hate those who take the talk shows and fall forward. See if I'm ever crossed the caught up in the yo, I'm going off, yo. See, I'm unemployed for freedom. Don't fall. See, it pays to be the boss. That's right. That's right. Well, nigga, and I probably get your daddy if your mammy wasn't there hating. Cause I'm the baddest shit. I'm the baddest shit. Just call me the baddest chick. Y'all know I'm the baddest chick. I got game for you, young. Don't go to be a goat. That's a no-no. See if you off the chain, stay ahead of the game. Save up, buy a condo. Sell a game by the grand. Ain't gonna want you on the bed. Another wicked set of rims. See if I had the chance to do it all again. I'll be rich by the time I'm 10. See y'all blast my motto. Time kissing in the auto. Good loving about to follow. On the back of the trunk when I'm tipsy and drunk. But I don't get high though. I never took it up the off the try, but I passed. And for what I heard, it ain't bad. I'm a curious chick who took off and getting broke off from the baby's dad. Cause I'm the baddest chick. Y'all know I'm the baddest chick. Just call me the baddest chick. Y'all know what the hell is this? That's right, I'm the baddest chick.
The Rise, The Baddest Bitch. Was to become a flagship for feminism, it first needed a woman to wear its badge. That didn't happen right away since bitch was still freighted with a man.
Call me the baddest chick. Y'all know what the hell is this?
I was trying to figure out how that works, trying to go on the YouTube thing to see if I actually had a chat room. So that was the echo to that. Yeah, to finish. If bitch was to become a flagship for feminism, it first needed women to wear its badge. That didn't happen right away since bitch was still freighted with man-hating stigma. In some ways, increasingly so. Back in the day, bitch had only referred to a woman who was promiscuous. Later, it evolved into an insult for a woman who had done you wrong. But by the 80s, bitch turned violent and misogynist, harboring a much darker tone than before. Throughout the 80s, hip hop laid claim to the word and promoted much of the violence associated with it. Slick Rick was among the first rappers to employ the word in the 1985 song La Di Dottie, sorry, where the bitch in the song is a jealous and violent woman. A year later, Ice-T rapped about beating up a bitch who talked back to him at 6 in the morning. The NWA song Bitch is a Bitch, 1989, defined a bitch as a woman who was manipulative, conniving, and money hungry. Dr. Dre plainly described them as hoes and tricks and bitches ain't shit, 1992. The word was fraught with violent connotations and the message was clear. Bitches needed to watch their step because they had it coming for them. Bad PR. Women weren't really into self-labeling as bitches just yet. Queen Latifah flat out rejected the term in her 1993 song UNITY, which opens with the question, who you calling a bitch? Meredith Brooks gave the word a softer interpretation in the song Bitch, 1997, but still basically defined bitchiness as a symptom of PMS. But then came Trina. Her 1999 not quite hit single, The Baddest Bitch, recharacterized the term as a symbol of empowerment. A bad bitch, by her definition, was smart and powerful, and perhaps most important, in charge of her sexuality. With her with her heartbeats and don't give a fuck attitude, she took the word back within the very genre that had corrupted it in the first place. Although she never used the word feminism, Trina interlaced many of the aims of the movement with her reinvented concept of the bad bitch. Her lyrics were ahead of their time, with declarations like it pays to be the boss and stay ahead of the game, save up and buy a condo. Most of all, Trina loved sex, and she loved to rap about it. She would eventually release her song called Nasty Bitch, which described her sexual prowess in graphic detail. In The Baddest Bitch, she plainly stated, if I had the chance to be a virgin again, I'll be fucking by the time I'm 10. In some ways, we could consider Trina a purist in how she defined bitch, since she preserved the original meaning of the word, a woman who was excessively sexual, except for that Trina outwardly embraced her sexuality, and in doing so, she turns the definition of bitch on its head. The 90s were a time of critical rebranding for bitch. Excuse me. Women who had previously shied away from the word started to embrace it. Take Madonna, who had stated in her interview in 1991, I am ambitious and I am working hard to get where I am. I've made good by behaving bad, but I am no bitch. Just 4 years later, in another interview, Madonna totally reversed the sentiment. I'm tough, ambitious, and I know exactly what I want. If that makes me a bitch, okay. Nowadays, if you ask Siri to look up unapologetically bitch, she takes you straight to Madonna's Wikipedia page. If bitch was ever to be reclaimed, it was during this era of girl power in 1996. Feminists Lisa Jarvis and Annie Ziesler founded Bitch magazine, and when asked how they chose the title, Ziesler explained, it would be great to reclaim the word bitch for strong, outspoken women, much the same way that queer has been reclaimed by the gay community. Elizabeth Wurtzel echoed this sentiment in her 1998 book, Bitch in Praise of Difficult Women, where she also aligned bitchiness with feminist goals. I intend to do what I want to do and be who I want to be and answer only to myself. That is quite simply the bitch philosophy. They have a clip of Britney Spears, but since I'm not a Britney fan like that, I would be skipping that video. Not to say that I am all that of a Trina fan, but I use Trina to make a point. The main stratification is Britney bitch. Bitch was everywhere by the turn of the millennium. The use of the word on television shows tripled between 1998 and 2007, which had much to do with the word feminist facelift in the previous decade, but with mainstreamification comes misunderstanding. A brief sampling of music in the early 2000s revealed rampant disagreement over the word's definition. Jay-Z used the word as a stand-in for women in 99 Problems. Rock band Crazy Bitch in 2006, their most popular song to date. about a woman who was bananas in bed. But Saran used the word affectionately in I Love My Bitch, 2006. Khaleesa of Milkshake fame enthusiastically declared, I'm bossy. I'm the bitch y'all love to hate. The same year, in Bossy, there wasn't much agreement on what a bitch was. But as Too Short put it in 2006, one thing's for sure, you will get called a bitch, bitch. Even Britney Spears, whose public image had thus been sweet, demure, and innocent, but not that innocent, started to announce herself in 2007 by saying, It's Britney, bitch. The word had gone totally mainstream. All women, and sometimes men, were eligible for the bitch label in some form or other. An all-purpose salutation as in, What's up, my bitches? Gay men and ballet girls started affectionately calling friends bitches. People invented new iterations like biatch and bitch. It became a meme. Lady Gaga called herself a free bitch. Any point want to be her because the subject was a sexy it's definitely freezing. Again, I was reading from Vice.com on it. Give me a moment, please. So, if this song plays, the next song they have on here is by PTAF called. Hold on, you want to talk retarded again? I think it's called Boss Bitch, but I can't see the title now. It's at retarded. And when I use the word retarded, I'm not talking about people. I never call people retarded. I call things retarded. Like this computer is acting retarded. It is a thing. It does not have feelings or emotions. Yeah, it's called Boss Ass Bitch. That's the next song they have to play. If it will work. But I guess as this has a mind of its own, uh, I'm gonna try to see what I have up because I don't need these tabs anymore. And I don't know if that will actually have the internet speed. Because website is just crashing. I don't think it has anything to do with my internet speed. I'm gonna refresh the page. It doesn't want me to do that either. What is the control thing? No, it says it's not responding. This, I would say this is like my first live stream that I'm doing from YouTube Live, I think it's called. And it's not acting right. It's not responding. So, I'm going to try to restart this control panel thing. Pick that up. Let me see if I can pause it. I can pause this. Unless everything isn't responding, then I'm just talking for no reason. Even my control panel is not trying to come up. I don't want to start the whole thing over. My whole computer just moved. So, yeah, I don't think it's working. It doesn't have any kind of sound bars, showing that it hears anything. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Okay, it seems like we might be back. Oh, that's good, I guess. That was terrible. Yep, and now it says that it didn't die. Gonna go ahead and kill that one. Open up another tab, see if that works. And it totally seems like it's just dying on me. So, continue to read. And like I said, the song that's gonna play is, I think it's called PTAF, and it's called Boss Aspect. So, it's almost here. My computer like totally crashed, but now it's back, so I'm coming to find it. So, yeah, it's just, giving a run through of how the songs, began to, in a sense, glorify the word bitch. Um, the fragmentation, bad bitches only. Since it had developed so many incongruous meanings, bitch briefly became controversial again in the late 2000s. Women had tried to reclaim it, but was it really okay to call a woman a bitch? Didn't the term still promote sexism, misogyny, and patriarchy? Was bitch a form of linguistic violence? There were many certain there were certainly lots of people who thought so. In 2007, the New York City Council attempted to ban its usage, citing its deeply sexist and hateful connotation. And yet, a few years later, in 2012, the Nations Commission took the opposite stance and ruled to unbleep the word on television networks, suggesting that it was harmless. So I'm gonna try to get this song to play again, but if it doesn't play, then I'll continue to read. If it does play, oh, did that make sense? I'm sorry. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna play this. Of course, we're gonna listen to the song. Such contradiction, such confusion. What did it all mean? After Jay-Z and Kanye my bitch on their 2011 album Watch the Throne, both artists seem to have existentialist struggles with the word, bringing the bitch controversy back into the spotlight. There were rumors that Jay-Z would swear off the word when Blue Ivy was born in 2012, but then he was like, "Psych, I'm a rapper," and continued to use the word egregiously. In 2013, Kanye published a string of tweets debating whether or not using the word bitch was okay. His final verdict: it's totally okay to call women. So some of the tweets that Kanye West did was even typing it in a question form, it still feels harsh? Question mark. That was September 2nd, I guess, in 2013. To be more specific, it is acceptable for a man to call a woman a bitch even if it's endearing? Question mark. He asked that as a question. Acceptable? Kanye West wrote that. All three of these tweets are from September 2nd, 2013. What remained problematic, however, was the way bitch was related to power dynamics. When women have too much power, they're called bitches as a way to knock them down a peg. But when men aren't asserting enough power, they're called bitches too. And the E40 and Too Short song "Bitch" in 2010, we hear both versions of the word. E40 tells men don't act like a bitch and criticizes men who have, but also calls a woman who has sex with multiple men a bitch. I'm gonna try to find that song on YouTube because I'm gonna just skip that one and just go to E40 if it comes up because my computer is still acting slow. Um, so I'll type into YouTube now. I'm trying to read the article from it, but it's like so painstakingly slow, so painstakingly slow. It's hurting. It's just bothering me. I'm like, why? Why are you doing this to me right now? Um. Okay, so it says page loading, but it doesn't look like it's coming up on YouTube. No, that is not what I asked for. Every time I type in YouTube, House Logic comes up. What is this? One more time. Um, okay, so I'm typing E40. Typing that song so you can know what the article is talking about. It said that E40 did a song with Too Short, and they have two different meanings. They both seem to not agree on what the word bitch is. And yeah, it's still acting slow. So hopefully if it plays, it don't keep stopping. Coming up.
I don't got love, oh, that's why Too Short need 40 say. So homie, please don't marry that bitch. Don't do it. And that's why I'll never be. See me, I get everything I want to get. I have some fun with it and make her mama trip. Cause if I'm in her life, it's a problem. A real player's at you, girl, you better stop him. Turn your back on the bitch, she ain't acting right. He hit it way before you, now he's back in her life. What you gonna do when you lose her? She got a nigga on the side just to use her. If it's me, I'm parking at the front door, and you be knocking on her bedroom window. You see the shadows, you hear the sounds, but you don't do nothing. You just turn back around like a bitch. Feelings hurt, ready to cry. You can't believe everything she said was a lie. She got a lot of bitch in her, but not more than you. I never underestimate what you want to do. Act like a bitch. That's why I don't got love, bitch. Oh, that's why Too Short need 40 say. So homie, please don't marry that bitch. And then listen, this that's what I be hanging around. Don't I be having this sipping and smoking and drinking and spitting. And these musty mouth girls, they be tripping. I mean, the bitch thought she was that. I knew what that bitch was thinking when she black, what she was thinking, but she shouldn't have thought that. I told her the money cost too much and I ain't got it, you got to pay me. Oh, pay me, no, never mind. Don't sit on the toilet when I go piss. You got feminine tendencies like a bitch. I'm solid and concrete, I keep it found. We pull up and something acting a dumb. She lifting her dress up, showing her long. See, he tripping, he tricking, throwing her money. ICH all in her face. Oh, he's so late, stay on the case. That's why I don't got love, bitch. Oh, that's why Too Short need 40 say. So homie, please don't marry that bitch. And that's why I'm 40 water. Too short. Short dog in the house. 40 water. What I've been noticing, all bitches ain't women. All bitches ain't women, man. No. Some of these niggas, man, be acting like bitches, man. Yeah. Female puppies, man. You already know. Look, get it real. Do it. Niggas be acting like bitches. Female puppies, man. Bitch, nigga, don't act like a bitch. That's why I don't got love, bitch. Oh, that's why Too Short need 40 say. So homie, please don't marry that bitch. And that's why I'll never be a bitch.
So yep, that was E40 and Too Short song, bitch. And they're both just.
Oh, that's why Too Short need 40 say.
Okay, that was an accident. Um, I'm still getting the hang of this. So if you can bear with me. It was clear that the word could sometimes refer to a woman laying claim to their own power, as in the 2012 PTF song Boss Ass Bitch, which proudly declares, I'm a boss ass bitch, 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 bitch. A year later, Nicki Minaj remixed it because that beat is so good. This was also seen in the Britney Spears song Work Bitch, which has motivated women everywhere to push through one more minute on the Stairmaster. But it could also be an assertion of power over others, either from one woman to other women, as in Beyonce's song Bow Down Bitches, a man to a man, as in Ludacris' Smooth Bitch, or most commonly a man to a woman, as in Tyler the Creator's Bitch Suck Dick, which is just women should use their mouths for giving blowjobs, not talking. According to Dr. Christopher J. Schneider, a sociologist at Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada, who has studied how bitch is used in rap music, the word is so damn popular, both in negative and positive light, because its relationship to the patriarchy, the dominant role and conditions of patriarchy, no, I'm not saying that right, patriarchy, help enable the widespread use and acceptance of the term, both as misogyny and also as a form of empowerment used to counter patriarchy. Nowhere is this clearer than in politics, where pretty much any woman in power is called a bitch. If Hillary Clinton and Angela Merkel had a nickel for every time they were called bitches, they have enough money to pay off the national debt in both of their countries. There was a real article about Janet Yellen earlier this year entitled Janet Yeller, the Bitch of the Fed. And poor Katie Couric, what the hell did she ever do to deserve the bitch title? But if you can't change the word, nation. To which she responded, better bitch than mouse. Call it bitches if you want, but bitches get stuff done. Then we have, frustrating me. It's totally frustrating. Give me just a minute, or maybe more, because this computer has a mind of its own. Let's see, right? It's still not treating me right. Another song, if it would come up. But so far, internet's not responding again. Oh my god. It's terrible. I love and hate my computer at the same time. From Lupe Fiasco, called Bitch Bad. lyrics are something similar to bitch bad, woman
Yeah, I say, bitch bad, woman good, lady better. Hey, 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 hey. Now imagine as a shorty, maybe 5, maybe 4, riding around with his mama listening to the radio. And a song comes on, and I'm not far from being born. Doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. Now, I ain't trying to make it too complex, but let's just say shorty has an undeveloped context about the perception of women these days. His mama sings along, and this what she says. Because I'm a bad bitch, and I'm a bad bitch. And that's far above average. And maybe other rhyming words like cabbage and savage and baby carriage and other things that match it. A couple of things are happening here. First, he's relating the word bitch with his mama, comma. And because she's relating to herself, his most important source of health and mental health, he makes due respect with dishonor. Bitch bad, woman good, lady better, ain't misunderstood. Tell him, bitch bad, woman good, lady better, they misunderstood. They misunderstood. Yeah. Now, imagine a group of little girls, 9 through 12, on the internet watching videos, listening to songs by themselves. Doesn't really matter if they have parental clearance, they understand the internet better than their parents. Now, being the internet, the content's probably uncensored. They're young, so they're malleable and probably unmentored. A complicated combination, maybe with no relevance into their intelligence meets their favorite singer's preference. Bad bitches, bad bitches. That's all I want and all I like in life is bad bitches, bad bitches. Now let's say that they less concerned with him and more with the video girl acquiescing to his whims. The plot thickens. High heels, long hair, fat booty, slim. Reality check. I'm not woman good, lady better, ain't a son. Bitch bad, woman good, lady better, ain't misunderstood. Disclaimer, new page. Not using bitch as a lesson, but as a psychological weapon to set in your mind and really mess with your conceptions, discretions, reflections. It's clever misdirection, cuz while I was rapping, they was growing up fast. Nobody stepped in to ever slow them up. Gas, showing up in this little world. The little boy meets one of those little girls, and he thinks she a bad bitch, and she thinks she a bad bitch. He thinks this respectfully, she thinks of that sexually. She got the wrong idea. He don't wanna fuck her, he thinks she bad at being a bitch, like his mother. Mama never does like that, come out the house hot mess like that, ass tits. He caught in a reality, she caught in an illusion. Bad mean good to her, she really nice and smart, but bad mean bad to him. Bitch don't play a part, but bitch still bad to her if you say it the wrong way. But she thinks she a bitch, what a double entendre. Tell her, bitch bad, woman good, lady better, ain't misunderstood. I say, bitch bad, woman good, lady better, ain't misunderstood. Woman good, lady better, ain't misunderstood. You're misunderstood. I'm killing these bitches. Spain, woman good, greatest motherhood. Hey, I'm killing these bitches.
The present, bad bitch, woman good. These days, bitch has become a little boring. Oh, you're calling me a bitch? That said, most scholars, linguists, and women alike would agree that the word hasn't really been rehabilitated to mean something wholly positive. I recognize that some women feel empowered by the word, but that doesn't mean they are empowered by it, said Dr. Cheryl Klingman, a sociologist who wrote about the social harms of the word in 2009. Cheryl Sandberg underscored this idea in a recent open op-ed, oops, I don't know how you pronounce it, for Cosmopolitan, and started a campaign to ban bossy, which is basically like the PG version of bitch. In April, Duke University launched the You Don't Say campaign, where students argued against using the word because it insists femininity is inherently negative. As Lupe Fiasco so eloquently put it, bitch bad, woman good, lady better. But perhaps the problem isn't really so much what we call women, it's how we treat women. Bitch has come a long way, sure, but perhaps the reason it hasn't been truly reclaimed is because conditions for women haven't really changed either. If there ever comes a time when women fear rages or the opportunity to speak in a meeting, where they don't constantly fear the possibility of violence or sexual assault, and when women feel that they have had some say in the society that we live in, then bitch will shed that last layer of stigma for good. Words only make sense in context. When we see the day when the context is changed, then the core meaning of the word will change too. But has that day yet arrived? Bitch, please. Lastly, I want to close with, I want to say, when I was talking earlier today about the word bitch and how it really became empowering or came back into power during the 1920s through today, due to the feminist movement. As a black person living in America, black people did not have the same, luxuries afforded to white people during the same period, the white women. This is from Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman? From her when she talked at the Women's Conference in Akron, Ohio in December 1851. Well, children, where there is such racket there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the woman fixed pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? It says the woman needs to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me the best place. And I and ain't I a woman? Hey, look at my arm. Feed me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most of them sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Then they talk about this thing in the head. What's this they call it? Member of the audience whispers intellect. That's right, honey. That's what's that got to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights? If my cup won't hold but a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half measure full? Then that little man in the black there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman? Man had nothing to do with him. these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now they is asking the generals journey ain't got nothing more to say. I want to repeat one of these paragraphs in here because the suffrage movement and women's rights and the feminist movement, it wasn't really geared towards black people. That was all for white people. So I want to repeat it again because I want you guys to hear this and I wanted you to remember this. Sojourner Truth said, "Ain't I a woman?" December 1851. That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me in the carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered in the barns, and no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen all most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? She's talking about the inequality of being a black woman versus a white woman. I just want to make that clear. So, last but not least, I'm going to close my live stream down. So I want to tell you guys that abstinence is best, but if you're sexually active, safe sex is the best sex. Remember to wrap it up, dental dam it down, so your smile doesn't turn into a frown. I was going to open up my panel for discussion, however, I don't know how to do that. So either you're going to have like a brief pause, or I can try to sit here and figure out, but I don't know. Let me try to see if someone's in that in with me. If my internet will work, because it has been treating me so very badly. I know you guys can hear me, but when it comes to me trying to search something, that it hasn't been my friend. So let's see. I'm trying to see if the chat will come up. Oh, I appreciate you stopping by, showing some love. Oh, T-Duck, I wish I knew what you were saying. Talk about aloha. I sound like a robot. Oh, it wasn't working. I hope that you guys got something and you learned something. A brief little history, even though it was almost 50 minutes or, kind of long. But you guys have a good night or a good day whenever you decide to listen and watch. Leave comments, and I will try to respond. There were words Greek and Roman that I'm not sure if I pronounced right. So I do apologize about that, but I think you all might have got the gist of it. I just put the Hangouts in there in the chat room. I think I did that the right way. So if anybody's out there that wants to add something, I guess that would be the time. And if not, then I will probably check off. Now I'm trying to figure out how to see if somebody got on there. Oh shoot, I don't even know what I just did. Oh, T-Duck came to join my panel. That's awesome of you. Even though your mic is muted. But I appreciate you stopping by. And if you have any thoughts on the word, on the word bitch, you use the word bitch, which I've heard some of your live streams, so I already know the answer to that question. But if you, what you thought about the history lesson and how the word evolved, because the word bitch actually was referred to for men as for pagans that was worshiping the bitch goddess Diana and Artemis. The same person from Roman/Greek, like one is Roman, one is Greek, the Greek version of the same person. yeah, what do you think about, what do you think about the word and what you learned today? If you learned anything today.
Oh, thank you. It's definitely an
Thank you.
honor
It's definitely an honor.
to be on the show and everything. It's powerful that it has a history. The word bitch has a history, and I'm glad you brought that to light. You know my stance on it. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. But I mean, I got to reevaluate that because listening to what you were saying, it really has a history. It even goes further back because Diana and Arnabis, or however it's said, goes back into
See how it's spelled. I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's Artemas.
Artemis.
Yeah.
All that goes. I mean, they took that from ancient, one of the first ancient Commission deities. I forget her name, but she represented uh the cosmos. Basically, she gave birth to life. She was one of the first deities that they had before they got into all that other stuff. And if I had more time, I could probably go more in depth in it. But the whole thing is,
If you're able to, I would appreciate it because I didn't know that it was from ancient, or you say Commission, because they said that Artemis it literally means that the wolf goddess, like she's, I mean, not the wolf goddess, well, it's one, Lupa was wolf, but they had Artemis was like the bitch goddess of
right,
dogs, because she was always depicted with dogs around her in their sculptures and stuff that they made of her. And they said that the myth is that she could turn into a dog. But I didn't know anything about the ancient Cometians and the how it relates to that. Like, can you explain that more?
well, yeah, it was the whole thing. Uh, when it come to hunt or war, they took dogs with them, and that was just an implementation. That's the female component of war. So the dogs represented like hunting or attacking, offensive. So and its commission aspect, the goddess was not only a goddess of war but a goddess of creation, and it it morphed into what we have during the Greek time and everything, and that's where you get your werewolves from, because she was supposed to, unlike her brother, Apollo or whatever, the it's Apollo and them. They just the
In Commission, they had Apollo, or you talk about Artemis? Because
no
Artemis,
Artemis, yeah,
her brother, yeah, was Apollo, supposed to be her twin brother, I
right.
believe.
Well, in ancient Kemet, she was married to Kim, and she was the mother of Ra, I believe. I gotta detail it. I'm not going. I'm just going off the head with it, but I know for a fact she was married to Kim, and I forgot who her son was. I believe it was Ra. But to make a long story short, it's amazing that there is history to it. The problem is that we don't fully understand it, and rather than deal with it in its entirety,
I'm
we
sorry,
only
I'm not
deal.
sure if you can hear me, but your line keeps going in and out. Or I'm not sure if the chat can hear you, but on my part, it sounds like you're going in and out. I'm sorry. If you only can you repeat what you were just saying?
Oh, I was just saying it would be amazing if we dealt with its entirety rather than just dealing with the aspects of it. I know for sure that in ancient Kemet, it was Kim's wife, KTM, is a guy, and his wife was basically the mother of the word bitch in a sense, as we know it. And we need to deal with it in its entirety rather than just looking at its connotations now. And it's a history to it. And I think if we dealt with that history, we'll see. And just like you said, like they tried to make bitch a good word back in the suffrage days, and I guess it just didn't work. And now we have what we have now, and we need to deal with the fact that it has a negative connotation. It depending on how you say it, just like aloha. You know what I'm saying? I could be like, "That's my bitch." You better watch what you say. Like that's endearment. But if I say, "Oh, fuck that bitch," then that's not. That's a disdainment. So it's all contextual. It's kind of like the Chinese language. It depends on how you fluctuate or use the word. Like one word could have several different meanings. Is on how you fluctuate and how you rise or lower when you speak it. Lower your tone. It's a tone language. So I think
It's like bitch, 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 and they all could just mean.
yeah, depending on how you use it, it's tone. It's tone driven. So like, but that's like that higher learning type shit. Like not everybody on that. Some people it's simple. So when they hear certain things, they just take a simple response to it rather than like that's why we got to get all on a level. You know what I'm saying? Get a level of understanding and get smarter about things. So less things will become offensive when you get on that level. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of things that are offensive shouldn't be offensive, but our emotions and everything get involved, and it's just what it is. So I'm glad to see a sister actually step up and take the responsibility of bringing it all out, so that it's really nothing. I mean, not that it's nothing. It's really nothing, but I'm glad a sister brought it all out so that you could see it for its entirety. And I definitely we might have to do a part two where I could get into the Commission goddess
Yeah,
and not so much, but
I was saying that would be nice if we did a part two and you went into that. That would be I would like that.
yeah, it'll be definitely dope because we're not giving ourselves the chance to really learn. We try to stick with these regiments of what we think it means to be, a certain way, and it's just like we got to be bigger than that. We got to expand. We got to be more than that. And that whatchamacallit you read from Sojourner Truth was dope.
Oh yes, thank you. I I was wondering about you know do you think after learning like yes about the history and saying like it was based on you know as they say the wolf bitch or whatever it was made they said that like the word son of a bitch, for instance, they said was used as a connotation against men to say that they were worshiping the pagan goddess, Diana and Artemis. So as an insult, when Christianity had, was in its early stages, that's what they would call them, like son of a bitch, to mean like you were devil worshiping. And I haven't found a lot of research to back that up, but that was one of the things that I had seen. And I was just wondering, like, what's your thoughts on it in the sense of like nowadays people saying, as you said earlier, like that's my bitch or fuck you bitch or like oh I love my bitch or whatever. Like, do you think that women, especially women, but as men too, like, do you think that people should really still be in this day and age be offended by the word bitch, or should it should just do you think it should still have a negative connotation, or should it just be like any other word, like computer, cell phone, light switch? Like it shouldn't bring like an emotional response to it.
I think it shouldn't bring an emotional response. I think you were absolutely right, and you sort of answered your own question. I think that just like we took the sting out of the word nigger and we changed it to nigga, we basically empowered ourselves compared to how we were when it was used, and it caused us pain. I think the word bitch should definitely get the sting taken out of it, and maybe we could grow more if it didn't have so much of a negative connotation to it. And I
And
only say that just like legalizing marijuana. Like
as a man, because you said that we should take the sting out of it. If someone was to call you, like you being a man, call you a bitch, in a sense, um, do you think that it shouldn't affect you, or not just you, I guess, but all men? Do you think that it shouldn't affect you? That it should, just as just it should roll off your back like water on a duck's wings?
Now that's the funny thing. It should. It's supposed to, and in certain how can I say it? In certain instances, it will, but it all depends on the setting. Like if I'm with the bruhs doing my frat stuff, yeah, you know, I'm not gonna let a word like bitch bother me. But if it's like I'm just like kicking it and somebody uses that word, like in California, that's very very condescending and has serious implications. So like the law of the land is like you don't use that word unless you're ready to go there and have all types of consequences to it. But as a gentleman and as a thriving adult, I think that it shouldn't have any sting to it.
I have a question for you. Do you think will it bother you more, if a woman called you a bitch versus a man call you a bitch, or it doesn't matter who calls it to you? I'm talking about like if you guys are arguing or fighting, or like will it bother you more if a man called you that or a woman called you that, or it doesn't matter which sex?
It doesn't matter which sex. My response will be different if it's a man or a woman, but it's like it doesn't matter which sex says it. It depends on where you at in the law of the lands. Like I could go certain places where dudes play with the word and it doesn't have that serious connotation, but it's another word in place that means like it's no coming back from. You get what I'm saying? It all depends on where you at. It's a cultural thing.
I when you said that, I was just in my head trying to figure out like, because me, like I'm from San Francisco, so I'm trying to figure out like what kind of situation can you be in where like, or not you, but like where a guy would play with the word bitch, like or like
It's
like calling somebody else a bitch.
there's a lot of places like Atlanta, New
They call
Orleans.
how can you give me an example of how a guy would use that word? So I guess I assume you talk about a guy to another guy, right?
Right. Absolutely.
How in like New Orleans or Atlanta, in a sense, like how would they use that word towards another guy? I don't like. I'm sorry, I don't really.
It's like we would use the word like, bruh or nigga. They use the word like not all, but certain circles use the word bitch.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
that to me, I guess from being from San Francisco, I mean Atlanta is like the gay capital of the world. From I mean of America. I don't know about the world, but I know it's like a lot of gay population there. But I'm like, for me being from San Francisco, when I think of a man calling another man bitch in a okay way, that it just sounds gay to me. Like I don't know, but if that's like you said, Atlanta and New Orleans, and they be like, "Come on, bitch, let's go to the store, talk to another dude." Just being from out here, like I don't know nobody that would fly with out here.
Yeah, right. And that's because of the culture here. But I'm saying like the culture is different there, and they got a different word in place for bitch that will have the same consequences as saying the word bitch here. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, do you know? Me just being curious. Like, do you know the word? What they
Uh,
have that?
no,
Um,
I don't.
but yes, I look forward to doing in part two with you on the commission version of Artemis and Apollo, and who I'm trying to remember who.
Artemis and Diana. But Diana is not only the goddess of war, but she also the goddess of knowledge. And yeah, the commission one is the goddess of creation. Like it's pretty deep stuff.
Yeah, they did mention. I think, like you said, Diana was. She did have. She was the goddess of war. and goddess of the hunt. But yeah, they didn't say anything, you know. But I assume that's just because the people who wrote it, aka the white man who's in charge of whatever this was, you know, the Greeks and stuff, like they didn't want to let black people know that, you know, their history or their story came from a black person or black lives or you know, like from a black story. They you know just wiped that clean. So they probably wouldn't put that Artemis, like, you know, they said they did mention that it predates Rome, but they didn't say where it predated from, like what the source was. They made it seem like it was unknown or implied that it was unknown. So when you say we're gonna do a part two, like that sounds amazing to me, and I look forward to that.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Did you get a chance to like my show? Put that thumbs up on my channel.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it when I go back and listen to it. I can't do it right now. I'm using my phone to
Okay.
be on Hangout.
Okay, man. I trying to think. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add to it or discuss in pertaining to that or anything?
Yeah. What do you feel about Sir John Truth's statement?
Well, as I said previously stated, like I really think that that was geared towards black people. Even though she was talking at the women's conference, and I should have looked it up to see, what the race was. Was it a mixed conference of black and white women? But in 1851, I don't think, I don't really know. But I have a question, which I probably should know, but offhand, I'm like, I know that we was from slavery. They turned into sharecroppers, and I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I was gonna ask you, when did slavery end? Do you know, or should I Google that? Like the year?
1777 or 1776?
Is it when slavery ended?
I believe so.
Okay, let me Google that because I just knew it ended in like 1800s, but I don't
Hmm.
know for sure. Let me see.
Oh yeah, 1876, 1877. One of them. Yeah.
It says it was slavery was abolished in America December 18th, 1865. So December of 1851, there were black people were still enslaved. So when Sojourner Truth, she did say in her speech that most of her children were sold off into slavery. But I didn't know for sure at the time of her speech was slavery still happening. Was it, were we still enslaved as a people? So we were. So I'm gonna Google now to see the women's conference. I want to know. I'm sorry. I want to know what who she was talking to, or was she like talking? Well, it says in okay, was in Akron, Ohio. Was this slavery?
I don't think so. No. But let me know when you're done so I can ask you a question.
Okay, I'm looking it up, and I see. Let's see. Um, let's see like her bio, and they have her speech. Let's see. Yeah, they don't say who she was talking to, but they just said that at the 1851 Women's Rights Convention held in Akron, Ohio, Sojourner Truth delivered what is now recognized as one of the most famous art Abolitionists and women's rights speeches in American history. But yeah, they would just say women's rights and people. Um, Let me see what slavery in England. But I could try. Sometimes I get distracted though. But I was gonna say something. I could try to answer your question that you were gonna ask.
Oh, do you see a difference between the black woman and the so-called black bitch? Like, I'm just looking as a reference to that video that's going viral with the lady kicking her kid.
Oh my gosh, I can't watch that video.
Right.
But um, the difference. I'm gonna look up the lyrics because I feel like Lupe Fiasco has said had a good um. I'm not spelling his last name. Fiasco. Um, I wanted to repeat it to you. At the very end of his song. Oh God, come on, scroll down, scroll down. It's not working. I'm gonna let me see. Do I want to read the whole thing? No, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Um,
Do you
okay,
think it?
now my on my other internet source, which is my and one is going to then this computer that's acting crazy.
Your speaker sound low.
Uh, is that better?
Nah, it'll probably run itself out. Don't worry about it. Bad mean good to her. She really nice and smart, but bad mean bad to him. Bitch don't play your part. Like bitch still bad to her if you say it the wrong way. But she thinks she a bad bitch. What a dubber and Tron day. Bitch bad, woman good, lady better, but they misunderstood. I'm trying to find the part where I was like, I think that was my answer. Disclaimer: this rhyme Lupe is not using bitch as a lesson, but as a psychological weapon to set in your mind and really mess with your conceptions, discretions, reflections. It's clever misdirection because while I'm rapping, they was growing up fast. Nobody stepped in to ever slow 'em up. Gas. Sure enough, in this little road. Nope, that's not it either. Okay, but anyways, to answer your question, I do think there is a difference between a woman and a bitch, especially if I use the word bitch in the sense of how it's used today. As more than as a female dog, but more in the sense of a woman that's a woman that's who is belligerent, unreasonable, malicious, a control freak, really intrusive, aggressive, like someone that's just pretty much like that's messy. That's when I say messy, I don't mean in appearance, but as in like their character, in a sense. Like if
someone that's just like don't have really high moral standards in a sense. That's a mostly thinking of a female. When I think of that, I can see the difference to me, like especially how, like I said, the word is used today or the definition of today. Um, I think there is a difference between a woman and a bitch. I think a bitch, like I pretty much just gave the definition of a bitch. And a woman is someone that's that has upright moral characteristics. Someone that is I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm trying to find this thing.
Eloquent and well
Uh,
learned.
huh?
I said a woman is also eloquent and well learned.
Right. I was trying to go back at the same time that I was talking to you about the to find out who she was to General Truth, who she was talking to in Akron, Ohio. Uh, They said this transcript of the speech was published in the Anti-Slavery Bugle on June 21st, 1851. It received wider publicity in 1863 during the American Civil War when Francis Dana Barker Gage published a different version, one which became known as Ain't I a Woman because of his oft-repeated question. This later, better known and more widely available version has been the one referenced to most historians. Uh, let's see. I'm still trying to figure out. I really, yeah. The phrase "ain't I my woman" and "a brother" have been used by British abolitionists since the late 18th century to decry the inhumanity of slavery. Oh, I'm sorry. The phrase "am I not a man and a brother?" I read that wrong the first time. Have been used by British abolitionists since the late 18th century to decry the inhumanity of slavery. This male motto was first turned female in the 1820s by British abolitionists. Then in 1830, the American abolitionist newspaper Genius of Universal Emancipation carried an image of a slave woman asking, "Am I not a woman and a sister?" This image was widely republished in the 1830s and struck into a copper coin or token, but without the question mark, to give the question a positive answer. In 1833, African American activist Maria W. Stewart argued that black women first degree than black women. Historian Jean Fagan Yellen argued in 1989 that this model served as inspiration for Sojourner Truth, who was well aware of the great difference in the level of oppression of white versus black women. Truth was asserting both her gender identity and race by asking the crowd, "Am I not a woman?" And by the Liberator 5 days later. Both of these accounts were brief, lacking in full transcription. The first complete transcription was published on June 24th in the Anti-Slavery Bugle by Marius Robertson, an abolitionist and newspaper editor who acted as the convention's recording secretary. The question, "Ain't I a woman?" does not appear in his account. 12 years later, in May 1863, Frances Dana Parker Gage published a very different transcript. In it, she gave Truth many of the speech characteristics of Southern slaves, and she included new material that Robinson had not reported. Gage's version of the speech was republished in 1875, 1881, and 1889 and became the historic standard. This version is known as "Ain't I a Woman?" after its oft-repeated refrain. Truth's style of speech was not like Southern slaves. She was born and raised in New York and spoke only Dutch until she was 9 years old. Additions that Gage made to Truth's speech included the ideas that she could bear the lashes of slavery, differences due in woman, and that most of her 13 children were sold away from her into slavery. Truth is widely believed to have had 5 children, with one sold away, and was never known to claim more children. Further inaccuracies in Gage's 1863 account conflict with her own contemporary report. Gage wrote in 1851 that Akron and general, and the press in particularly, were largely friendly to the women's rights convention. But in 1863, she wrote that the convention leaders were fearful of the mobbish opponents. Other eyewitness reports of Truth's speech told a different story, one where all faces were beaming with joyous gladness as at the season where Truth spoke, that not one discordant note interrupted the harmony of the proceedings. In contrast to Gage's later version, Truth was warmly received by the convention goers, the majority of whom were long-standing abolitionists friendly to progressive ideas and race and civil rights.
So she was basically the marker of the abolitionist. They like
Right.
really like her. Okay.
Yeah, like I didn't even know that. Like she was born in New York and spoke Dutch. So this whole slavery garb that they have her speaking, ain't I woman, they like she didn't even talk like that. I was like, see, this is just another example. Like the white man always freaking changing history. And now, like I just read, this speech by Sojourner Truth, and technically and truthfully, it's not even by her. Like she didn't talk that way. The point was made clear in a sense of, I don't have equal rights as a white woman, and that was I got the point of it, but that's not what she said. It just made me think about how Napoleon shot off all the noses in Egypt. Like that just made me
And
mad.
a Willie Lynch letter.
Right? I had thought that was 100% true. I didn't know that was made up either. I was surprised when somebody told me that. I was like, no, it's the truth. I didn't say that, but I was shocked.
But that's the thing. See, that's why it's so important for us to have character and leave all this hogwash alone. Like Lupe said, and that you had just spoke, that we gotta make sure we raise the kids so that they not bitches and hoes. We gotta raise them to be women and of distinction. They got etiquette classes. There's all types of stuff that you can do for your child to give them the probability of not going into that lifestyle or becoming a bitch or a hoe. Like we have to take responsibility. We have to make sure that our future generations aren't fitting these stereotypes that they see in mass media.
Right? That's true. It's time for us to change the narrative on that. It's time for us to step in and save our children. Because as you see, just do this. I mean, aside from the Sojourner Truth part, just about how like this word evolved. But not only did the word evolve, like it got worse over time. They said during the 1930s, bitch had they it kind of slowed down the use of it because of the war. I believe they said it was World War I. During the war, they had women that was going to help and help out, like be nurses and stuff. So it became more chivalrous. I think I'm saying the word right. So they stopped using the word, but after the war had ended, they went right back to using the word, and it got worse. And women began to use it to use it as a form of empowerment, and it's just one of those words that just never was meant to be a positive word. Like the word was, they said it was first used in 1000 A.D. Against males that were praying to the pagan goddess, but it never was a positive word. It never meant something good. So we need to just leave that word alone and stop trying to reclaim it or make it better. We just need to not use it, because that word is a word that's never changing. It doesn't appear so after all these thousands or hundreds of years or whatever.
Yeah, that's dope. But it's convenient. It's one syllable. And then I think they wouldn't be more responsive. I was like, you maggot mouth heifer. You maggot mouth heifer. I guess I'll start using that. You maggot mouth heifer rather than use uh
Just
bitch.
terrible. Just terrible. But yeah, I'm guilty of using the word bitch. I don't really I have used the word bitch, but it's not one of my like my words that's in my everyday vocabulary. Even when I get upset, it's not something that I just go off. Now I have, like I said, you saw me, I read it and I said it like probably like 50 times today, just in this article that I wrote about and read about. But I'm just like, I do, there's times like when, like, for instance, two, like, E40, like, I like E40, the song that I played, nigga don't act like a bitch. Like, he uses the word bitch or whatever, and it doesn't really come off as offensive to me, I guess. But if a man was to be like, fuck you, bitch, like, I probably would be more upset at the whole action of him attempting to disrespect me more than him actually calling me the word bitch. It would just be more so like, this dude really disrespect me, like, he really over here trying to hurt me or something, like, hurt me emotionally. That would be the problem that I would have more so than the actual word. Like, if I never really get called, yeah, I don't really get called bitch at all. But I'm sure that if I was to be called that, like, I would be more so upset at the disrespect or in at the person attempting to hurt me. But I don't know. Like, what do you think about that? Is that do you think I kind of feel like that's why people get upset about it? But I don't know. There's some calling me a whore or calling me a slut by calling me a bitch. So now I'm offended because I'm not a whore, I'm not a slut. But people that I know, they don't really use the word for, as when you call someone a bitch, they don't really call them a bitch because they're a whore or a slut. It's just an all encompassing word that just means you're a terrible person, you got terrible views, and you're, just like you're acting belligerent, you're unreasonable right now. You're being malicious, like you're just being rude. So instead of, just saying all of these words uh, to encompass what they're feeling, they just say, well, you're a bitch, because basically bitch means all of those words. But as they said, also, like, bitch could be used in so many different forms. Like, that's my bitch. Like, if someone says that's my bitch, they're using it in a term of endearment. Like, you're somebody that they care about. You mean something to them, and you have value in their eyes. But because I guess of the lack of words, or the lack, as a child growing up, I was always told, like, when you grow up, like, don't cuss, because people that cuss, they don't have a big vocabulary. But now as an adult, it just seems like bitch is just, it's not because, people use the word bitch not because they don't have a big vocabulary. Because me, for instance, like, I feel like I do have a big vocabulary. Of course, the English language is a bastard language, so there's always more words to learn. However, I feel like, you know, when someone was to say bitch or whatever, like, it's not gonna be that big thing to me. It's just, I feel like it's just a word that has, it encompasses like a lot of stuff. But when it comes to a male calling a female a bitch, I think that that's wrong, just generally speaking. But there are times I feel like, to get a point across, I can understand how a guy would call a woman a bitch to get a point across. But just generally speaking, I feel like, because of the history of the word, in the sense of majority of the world thinks that bitch comes from, it means female dog, especially a female dog in heat. So they, equivalent the word with being a whore, a slut, a tramp, promiscuous. So, those are all bad things to be called. So it's just like, hey, don't call me that. Like, as a man, like, don't ever disrespect me in that way, because I'm a woman and your mother is a woman. And I'm sure, as, women speaking, I'm sure you wouldn't want someone to disrespect your mother that way, because most men love their mothers. So as somebody that, you love, or you claim to care about, like, I'm just like your mom. Like, I'm a female, just like your mom is. And if I might be someone's mom already, or I'm going to be someone's mom. I'm someone's daughter. I'm someone's sister, or possibly someone's sister. That it's just, it goes into so much more than just regular, just plain, oh, she disrespected me, they stepped on my shoe. It's more so in a sense of me being a woman and having a man call me a bitch, like, that is that's very offensive. But there's women out there that will call a man a bitch, and I also feel that that's very offensive. And I think in the culture that I live in or whatever, my generation or whatever, when a female or whatever calls a man a bitch is to get him riled up, to get him upset. I kind of feel like a woman calling a man a bitch is, trying to entice him to hit you, kind of thing. Like it's kind of like men find that to be extremely, extremely offensive to be called that. Because when you're calling, they feel like you're calling them a female. You're saying that they have female characteristics, and their characteristics, a male that wants to be a man. I'm not talking about these transgenders or the gay community or people that's bisexual or whatever. Like if you dress up, if you're like trans, I guess it's called transgender or transsexual. I'm not 100% sure at this moment. Can't think of the word. But unless you want to be looked up as a female, like you're gonna be offended that a woman is calling you a bitch. Like you don't want her to call you anything feminine. You want to be known as masculine at all times. So it's known as, for a woman to call a man a bitch. Against a man's manhood, like a lot of men they like, oh, you think you tough, you think you can step to me, you think you can handle what a man is. Like I'm gonna show you how what a man is, and some men get physical over that, over being called that. So as a woman, I think I should tell all the ladies out there, like you shouldn't call no a bitch, especially in person where he could actually touch you, because it's a great possibility if you're dealing with an immature man that he will touch you. Now, a real man that's a man, and he knows who he is and where he stands in life, like he not gonna get all upset about that. Like he ain't gonna be like, oh my god, this bitch called me a bitch. Oh my god, like I'm not no bitch. Then it's gonna be like I'm a man. Like I know who I am. Like there's things, and I'm kind of going off the subject a little bit, off the subject of bitch, but just as a men, there's men out there like that has daughters, and they'll do their daughters' hair or play tea parties with their daughters, or do their daughters' nails and stuff. And women, especially like married women, they want their husband to be like that with their daughters, and they don't think of them as being feminine. That's a man that's comfortable with who he is. He's comfortable with what he's doing. Like it's not in a sense of I'm trying to be feminine. It's I'm bonding with my child. But there's times there's men out there that's not comfortable with who they are. There's men out there that wish that they were women. They dress like men. They look like men. They got all these tattoos on their body, like how to come off masculine, and they're still immature on the inside. And a lot of women they mistake immaturity for being feminine. And I think that women, we need to get off of that. We need to stop putting down our men, especially the black woman. Like we need to stop putting down the black man when we get upset with him and calling him a bitch. Just like the black man needs to stop calling the female a bitch. Like it's time for us to uplift each other and help each other out, because we all we got. I seen this story the other day. Like I said, I'm going off subject, but I was on Facebook. I think it was yesterday or it might have been earlier today, but I'm not sure of the time. Anyways, they were saying about in Asian community, what they do is, they all put in like, it was, one of the customers, I think it was supposed to be a black person, had asked, they were at a hair beauty salon, beauty supply store, and asked like, how do you guys open up businesses? Like, what kind of loans do you got? Like, they were trying to figure out if they had hookup on the loans. And they said, well, what they do is they each put in $10,000 in like a business account. They all like get their hat, pass the hat around, and they put $10,000 in there, and they help they help each other to start businesses. And so they only hire like their friends and family, the close people, and they help them with their store, and they work for minimum wage or low wages in order for the business to get better established. And when that business is established, then they go and they help someone else, and that's how they keep the money circulating in their community. And it's time for us as black people, the black man and woman out there, for us to start helping each other. But we don't want to help each other. we want to go and say, oh, I ain't helping that nigga, I ain't helping that bitch over there. Like, you know, she she didn't do whoop de woo, like, you know, whatever, like, or she thinks she's better than me, or that nigga driving a Mercedes, like, fuck him, like, I'm walking, like, I ain't helping him. And it's like, y'all can help each other. It doesn't matter what stage of life you're at. You guys can help each other because there's no big eyes and little U's. Like, we are family. We're a family, and it's just time for us to like elevate our thinking. And I wanted to, you know, talk on bitch because it's like one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about the word bitch was to help, you know, to give a history of the word, but also for us to understand like this is such a stupid we need to learn how to communicate and express ourselves better. It's time for us to mature in thinking. Using bitches and hoes, like that's immature thinking. Those are immature words to use. And once you know, like I said, my live streams and my blog talk radio and my, you know, the little things that I do is it's all for people that's over 18 years old. And at 18 years old, like, you know, you're still coming out the teenage years, so you think you've grown, you think you know everything, but you don't know yet. So I want to, you know, help the young adults, and I want to help the older adults that's like, yo, I've been doing you know, I already know, but you know, I hear older people in their 60s and 70s, you know, they be talking about, oh, fuck that bitch. You know, like I hear them. So I feel like I can help everybody and everybody of all ages. So like that's one of the reasons why it was important for me to do this live stream. Tita, are you still there? I see you on the panel, but I can't tell if you're still listening or even if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Well, not sure if he might have lost him. Hello, hello. Nope. And he's gone. So I guess I was talking to well, I was talking to the audience and to whoever tunes into this show. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, beautiful night. Get some rest. I hope that my show was entertaining and informing. Again, I want to say that this is for educational and entertainment purposes. So I hope you were sitting down and I am out.